All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the One Bev podcast. Here are today's rules of the game. And by today, I mean future episodes as well. So simple concept. Josh Stewart, Jake Radick, thank you for tuning in. Each episode, we have one beverage. Today's beverage of choice, goated
BodyArmor Blackout Berry.
Elite Bev. Conversation will last as long as there's still beverage in the container, still beverage in the bottle.
Yeah. So these podcasts will only last as long as these drinks will last us. So could be talking about fitness, it could be talking about life, relationships, business, cars,
thoughts, ponders, philosophies, anything that comes to mind, we're here to discuss and talk about. So big old cheers to episode 1 of the One Bev podcast. Josh, what is the topic of day today?
Today's topic will be how to become an interesting human being. So Jake and I wouldn't even say we're the most interesting individuals, but
Josh
I would say
Stewart is the most interesting man in the world.
BodyArmor. But Jake and I are definitely interesting guys. I think as we move on in life, we excel through different trials and tribulations, and him being a business owner, me being a business owner, I think it creates a new world for being interesting. And if someone were to talk to you, they might think you're just not the average Joe. And that's kind of what today's episode is going to be about, is simply just talking about how to not be an average Joe.
Yeah, and I'll tee us off. One of the big guiding philosophies in my life that I think has had a big impact on the stories I can share, the experiences I've had, the relationships I've had, the memories created, is the idea that in life, if you find something interesting, if you find something cool, you owe it to yourself to go do that thing. Try it out. Go do something. Yeah. How'd you get started in power washing?
So yeah, I own my own power washing business. It's called Expert Exteriors. And I always tell my friends, like, there's no way to start something other than start something. Like, there's no way to start other than starting. Like, no one's going to sit down and give you a checklist, right? You are always going to have to just make your own path. Like, Jake and I approached him one day and was like, hey man, we should start a podcast. I have this idea. And the idea was of One Bev, talking about today's BodyArmor series, but every episode will be completely different. And I told him, I was like, look, we can sit down and talk about whatever we want and continue to be like interesting individuals and have interesting conversation. And when I approached him about it, he was all for it, because I know he's a critical thinker. I think he can hold conversation very well. And we can just mesh, I think, on every single topic. And he's a very similar-minded individual. So me being the host, Jake being co-host, I think this was the perfect opportunity to run away with something. And just like any other thing, there's no way to start other than starting. So I asked him, it's like, hey man, do you want to do this? So my first step was, for whatever reason, I decided to go get a banner mocked up and a full logo, and I came up with the name One Bev Podcast, and that was the start of this. And there was no other way to start it. I didn't know how else to start it. I didn't look up any other ways. I simply just asked Jake one day, hey, do you want to do this? And he was all for it. And then, what did he say, 2 months later?
Not even
2 months later, I got this banner made, $150 for the banner, and shout out Brianna for making this awesome logo. It's pretty sweet. And after that, Jake and I just kind of ran away with this idea, and
here we are.
Here we are now, talking about One Bev. So talking about power washing, there was no way to start other than starting. I just created an LLC one day. I figured out how to do that, and I just went and bought equipment, and I just started. All I did was tell my family and friends about, hey, I'm power washing now under the name Expert Exteriors LLC. And I had no idea how to power wash other than doing my mom's concrete when I was younger. And I bought my equipment here, as you can't really see, but it's all off to my right side. And that's about it. It just grows from there. Like, the next step will always present itself once you start something.
Yep.
But no opportunity will ever arise if there's no starting point. And the starting point is always going to be decided by you as the individual, and no one's going to just hand you a starting point or give you a checklist to follow.
And this is something that applies to business, it applies to creating friendships, it applies to creating memories in life. If there's something that piques your interest, in this case, making money, entrepreneurship, right, you owe it to yourself to try it. And there are so many reasons in the world people will give you to not try something that it's easy to turn it down. It's easy to say, it's not gonna work, it's not. But until you really give yourself the green light, like, yeah, dude, this might be absolutely terrible and it might flop, but at least then I try.
Yeah, exactly.
Podcast, we had the conversation before we started. Likely, this is gonna be the worst episode. It's episode 1. It's bound to happen. But here we are nonetheless, laughing and smiling. It's something that we've talked about, something we wanted to do, so we gave ourselves the green light. Let's do it, and if it's terrible, we'll just iterate and make it better along the way. I had influential person in my life, shout out Seven. She was very big on always giving herself a reason to do something. There was never an obstacle that would impede her from trying to do something.
I'm gonna call that purpose.
Yeah. She always had, this is what I want, and it's, oh, that might not work because of this. It was, I'll make it work regardless of this.
Yeah.
And that's something that is very powerful in any endeavor you do in life.
I could completely agree. I think, I already know this episode is going to take forever because he had to buy the biggest freaking drink.
All right. First off, episode 1, naturally, we're going to start with BodyArmor, right? Not a single beverage on the market right now is better than BodyArmor, and that's why we're grateful for the sponsorship that's down the line from BodyArmor. Shout out BodyArmor, sponsor us. But they were only selling these Mongo 28-ounce bottles. I looked for the tinier ones. They didn't have it.
Would you go Rudders or?
Speedway.
Yeah, Speedway. Oh, man, we don't even have that around.
Speedway, get some smaller bottles.
Yeah, because he brought this in to my house, and I was like, dude, it's like, this episode is going to be like 40 minutes long because I just ate dinner. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Shout out Chipotle, sponsor us.
Yeah. Well, why don't we do a little review on Blackout Berry? Because in my opinion, I am a BodyArmor fan. I do like sports drinks. I actually don't drink them very often, but if I were to pick a sports drink, probably be BodyArmor. And in my opinion, I would give the flavor, honestly, like a 9 out of 10.
It's
styling.
It's stellar.
Styling, that's 10 out of 10 for sure.
Certified, stamped.
Certified.
It's the best beverage out there. A couple of different reasons why. Coconut water, hydration, top tier. Coconut water is base, you can't beat it. It's got electrolytes, antioxidants, it's got the vitamins in there. It's got the swag of being just a fly beverage, and it tastes amazing.
Honestly, yeah. I would give like the styling of the bottle. The styling of the bottle alone would sell it for me. And that's like a subliminal marketing thing. But this to me is like way cooler than like Gatorade. I don't want to like knock on Gatorade. I do like the flavors, but the styling.
Gatorade sponsor us.
Yeah, Gatorade sponsor us too. Because you could be the next episode of One Bev. Who knows? But you guys got to stay tuned for the episodes. We might drink like some scotch or, you know, like Four Loko or something. But I think those episodes might get a little out of hand, and maybe we have to filmed on a Friday night.
We got to get through the BodyArmor segments first.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bev left in this.
Yeah, definitely. But I think as we probably have to roll back to our topic of becoming an interesting individual. And the reason that topic came up today was because Jake, he got a message from somebody, and she was like, wow, you're like actually a really interesting guy. Like there's no, like you don't really hear that often. I mean, that could also be taken in a very awful way, saying you're an interesting individual, but yeah. I would say it was definitely
cut Josh off for a second. Direct context, we were talking about prior experiences. In this case, it was a solo camping, backpacking, fly fishing trip I did out in Colorado. It was something on my bucket list when I lived out there. I said I'm gonna get it done. And she said, the quote was, "You're so cool, that is not sarcasm. I genuinely think that."
Yeah, so my quote was a little bit wrong about an interesting individual, but he messaged me and was like, hey, why don't we make tonight's podcast about being an interesting individual? And I was like, wow, that's a really good idea. So here we are, talking about interesting individuals and how to become one. So if you have any input on how to become an interesting individual.
Do things. Do things. The world is big. I don't know, and this is something Josh and I haven't talked about much. Places you've traveled before, coolest places you've been. Open table. Top few places that you've traveled to.
Coolest places I've been?
Yeah, man.
Honestly, Jackson Hole, like Yellowstone, Wyoming.
Yellowstone is a top tier place, and if Yellowstone were a beverage, it would be BodyArmor. And that's a fact.
I agree. That was probably the coolest thing I've ever seen, was the old geysers. That was pretty awesome. I mean, unfortunately, when I was there, I was like 13. So I feel like I was too young to actually enjoy how amazing it was and how much of an opportunity it was. But I think that if I could go back, that would probably be like my first choice.
So context also, I worked in Yellowstone for a summer, and going back to the philosophy of if something's interesting, you just got to try it. Coming out of college, or about to come out of college, it was my second semester senior year, didn't have a job lined up yet. I was applying to places, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, where I wanted to live, anything like that. And an opportunity came up to work as a cafeteria lady in Yellowstone. And I was wearing the hat. I was looking good in there too. All the old ladies loved me. Asked for seconds, I was in there. No, but all jokes aside, I didn't know anyone going. It was 32-hour drive to get out there, but it was something I thought would be cool, something worth telling later on in life, and an adventure worth having. So I just sent it. And if anybody ever messages me about Yellowstone, I could talk about that for days and days and days. And it's these experiences that help make you interesting if you just do more things, if you go more places, if you meet more people, try new experiences.
And I think branching on that, having a ton of hobbies will present you tons of open doors.
Yeah.
So to create those hobbies, though, you have to have a will to learn and have a will to try new things and go out of your way, your comfort zone, you should say, and put yourself in a situation where you're uncomfortable. Because the second you feel uncomfortable is a place that you're not used to being. And if you can get comfortable being uncomfortable, you can become like an unstoppable individual.
Every growth comes from that stress. And this is actually a thought I had coming down here today. My mind was kicking on the drive down to Josh's today.
He lives a good 30 minutes away from me.
Somewhere around there, yeah. I got a lot of time to think in the car. But there are some people you talk to in life and they're like, oh, stress is bad for you. Stress is bad for you. Stress is terrible for you. And there's other people you talk to who are like, if I don't have stress of some kind in my life, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing anything. Like I need that stress.
You become stressed out being bored.
Yeah. And anytime I hear someone say stress is bad for you, a super basic example of this is like the weight room. The only time you ever grow is when you put your body under stress of some kind. You have to actively put yourself in new scenarios, new situations. That's how you grow as an individual.
And when you're in the weight room, no better drink to drink is BodyArmor.
That's a great plug. That is a great plug. I'll cheers to that one.
Oh, man.
One of these mics are going to pick up the sipping sounds.
I was thinking like the mic's going to pick up my swallowing.
We'll keep it on. We'll do like a little cuts of us just gulping.
Yeah.
Terrible clips. We'll do it though.
Oh, man.
No, but it's about doing things. Josh mentioned you got to have a will to learn. I think every person finds something interesting. Whether that's, you want to learn an instrument, you think movies are cool. Go ahead and learn about movies. Learn about the nuance. Learn about, dive into the things that interest you. And there's so many things out there. So many different avenues of hobby, whether it's like an artistic one, like music and art of some kind, or whether it's a fitness one where you just want to learn how to do some handstands better. Or it's, you want to just see more of the world and go travel. Like whatever piques your interest, go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Yeah. And like he just mentioned handstands. Jake and I were in the gym one day, and shout out Donnell, because
he's cut.
Yeah.
That man is cut. His triceps have biceps, and I've never witnessed that in my life.
We didn't know the guy. I had talked to him like one time beforehand, and we went up to him. He was doing these handstands on these bars, right? Calisthenic bars. And Jake and I were like, yo, let's go talk to him. So we went and talked to him. We're like, can we try that? And we did it like one time, and the second we got our first good handstand on those bars, it was like addicting.
It was crack.
But it was like that 1 second of being uncomfortable opened up the whole new door where Jake bought his own bars, I bought my own bars, and we just started grinding out these handstands because it was like the most fun thing ever. And now we can officially say we can do handstands. Am I going to demonstrate right now?
Handstands
No.
in Central PA, as long as Arnell's not in the area.
Yeah.
No, but going back to being an interesting person, you're having a conversation. For some reason, like anything comes up relative to calisthenics, relative to people doing goofy things, you bring people handstands, whole new topic of conversation goes on right there because of that. And I mean, I know I've been slinging those handstand videos to any girls in text, and they say, wow, that man can do a handstand.
Yeah, because not many people can do that. So therefore, that makes you an interesting individual. I think you're just adding it to like your, what do you want to call it? Like your
arsenal.
Your arsenal. Yeah, that's what I want to say. You're adding it to your arsenal of like your things that make you a cool person. And I think once you've tried to experience everything, any conversation you have with anybody will then become interesting. I think you always have something to say in that conversation then.
And I'd point out too, there's two ways to be interesting. The one is the one that makes sense to everybody, just having depth. The other way to be interesting is to be interested. Become really good at just asking people questions. Because if you ask people about themselves, they will talk for days. Now this is a sales trick, little business thing here for you guys. Questions will open the doors up for anything. Guys on dates, you don't even have to say much. Just ask girls about their experiences and you can talk 10% of the time and they'll say, wow, I had a great time with that guy afterwards. It's a proven fact.
That's a topic for another day.
Definitely a topic for another episode. I don't know what beverage that one's gonna be.
You should like sip on some scotch.
Yeah, that'll be an alcoholic episode right there. But if you want to be interesting, have depth to yourself. Do things, try things, and I'm gonna tangent on this before I circle back around. I don't know if you've ever heard this. People talk about you should have three. I'm gonna say as a guy because it's my experience. 3 hobbies you should have as a guy. There should be a fitness one. There should be an artistic one of some kind, and there should be one for making money. So fitness one, volleyball. He is a volleyball star, Mr. USA over here.
Yeah, right.
We play volleyball. I play hoops. We lift. Like we have fun doing things using our body. I play guitar. I like fishing. So those might be in a different avenue. And then the making money one. He has his power washing company. I used to have a marketing agency, phased that out, and I do quarterback training on the side to make money as well. So as long as you're checking off these boxes of having depth to different hobbies, you can talk to people, whether they're the artistic kind, whether they're athletic kind, whether they're someone who's super introspective and intellectual, you can have all these conversations.
Yeah, agreed. To somebody, as it kind of reached to my point there, was the more you know and can do as a person, the more you can plug in every single conversation. So you could be talking to a billionaire, you don't even know it, and all of a sudden you're talking about yourself and they're asking you questions and they're asking you things about your life, what you're into, what you do for a living, any hobbies you have. You start talking about this stuff, right? This is all hypothetical. Could happen though. This is like a potential hypothetical because anyone you meet one day could be a millionaire, billionaire, whatever. And all of a sudden you bring up one thing that you say you've done and you are really good at, and that person strikes their interest. And they're like, wow, like this guy's pretty interesting. And I think that moment, I'm waiting for my moment, but that moment could change your life because you interested somebody else for you being interesting. Again, on Jake's topic, saying in order to be interesting, you have to be interested. And it's a perfect example.
And you have to also be willing to put yourself out there. You can be the most interesting man in the world, but if you're not willing to open your mouth in a conversation and bring up different ideas, different thoughts, whatever it is that you guys are talking about, if you're not willing to speak up about that, everyone's just going to think you're a boring average Joe. Guy can't hold a conversation. You got to be willing to put yourself out there and be a goofball every once in a while and be willing to talk about things that people might not find interesting. And part of the art of being interesting is being able to convey these things in a relative manner to the conversation. Like understanding how to navigate those conversations and convey the fact that you have these things to talk about.
Yeah, that you're not just speaking about yourself the entire time, and that you are putting in your 2 cents to what that person's interested in, and you may have similar interests then. And by you putting yourself out there, whether you like to detail cars or mow lawns or paint fingernails, whatever, but you can always plug yourself in that conversation then, and then you're not talking about yourself the whole time. You're then creating conversation with somebody else, and this could work. This is a tactic that could work amazingly for someone who's introverted, who doesn't hold the best conversation with individuals. And I think that those people then could come out of their shell a little bit if they learn how to speak. I can't relate because I'm extroverted and so is Jake, but I think using like tips and tricks like that of punching your way into conversations about things you're interested in and not just talking about yourself, but trying to create interest with the individual you're talking to, whether it's male or female, I think that can go a long way.
All right, Josh and I are going to riff here now. If you're introverted out there, coming from a couple of extroverts, we're going to go golden rules for having an interesting conversation when you don't have a lot to talk about. I'll tee us off as you ponder on this.
That's a good topic.
Have 3 go-to questions.
We're not talking about how's the weather.
Deep questions, ones that make them think. Have questions that you have that no matter who you're talking to, you can bring up. For example, my go-to question, if I didn't know Josh and we were cutting it up at a function of some kind and I wanted to get to know him, my go-to question is, so what's the dream, man? What's the big goal in life?
That's good.
What's the dream? Because they might take that as a professional thing. They might take that as I want a beautiful family, white picket fence. They might take it as I want to have a van and travel the U.S. They might take it as I want to be a fighter pilot in the Navy. Whatever avenue they go, follow-up questions. Boom, right away.
Genius. Because then that strikes the person's interest of, oh, they care about me. Like they care about what I'm into. And branching on what Jake just said, like, what's your dream in life? Yeah, it is like an open world of what that person could say next. Because you have no idea. The only thing they're going to say is the stuff that matters to them. They're going to say, man, I would love to be sponsored by BodyArmor.
Beverage. All right, what's your go-to question? Hit the people with some
honestly,
gold.
Like, I don't even know, because I feel like in conversation, yeah, it might not be much to talk about, but there's always something about an individual that you can bring about. So I feel like you have to feel the conversation, but that doesn't work for everybody. Introverted people, I feel like they can't feel a conversation. They're more socially awkward. So to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever had a go-to question.
Oh, come on, dude. All right. I'll hit you guys with another. So go-to questions I have are about highlights of some kind, whether it's future, what are your goals? Or past, like, so what's the coolest thing that happened to you this past year? What's like the highlight of your year so far? Got any big plans for the summer? Now that one's a little corny, so we'll scrap that one. But like, what's the highlight of your year been so far? You got any trips planned? Have something where even if it's a slight answer, just a little further question to add some nuance to it afterwards. Like, oh, I'm going to Yellowstone in the summer. Like, wow, have you ever been? I don't care if he's been to Yellowstone, but now he thinks I'm interested, so he's just going to roll with it.
Like, oh, what's Yellowstone like? I mean, I've been there, but for someone who hasn't been, like, or what are you going to go do out there? And just starts conversation.
Why'd you pick Yellowstone?
And you start cutting it up.
Yeah. What and why? Those are the golden. Why, deep questions, and what are you most looking forward to? What inspired that? Things like that. Blank canvas.
Yeah.
How much beverage do you have left?
I don't know, dude. My stomach is so full.
Hold on. How much do you have? Oh, you're further along than me.
Yeah. I'm struggling with this. Not that it's bad. It's very good, but I'm struggling because I ate dinner like right before we walked in here, and my stomach is like so full.
This is the best beverage.
Yeah, it is the best beverage. Jake's big BodyArmor guy. Drink Prime?
No.
I don't know.
I don't drink Prime.
Who knows? Prime could be next episode.
Prime will not be next episode.
So maybe I'm gonna say like leave your comments down below, but chances are we'll get 0. But
gotta start
I'm
somewhere.
gonna try Tell me if it's a good idea, because I want to build a table for this. Because right now we're rocking the old blanket over.
We're rocking one of the blankets you can draw on if you get the direction going right.
Yeah. So I want to try and build a table and have something in the front. So every drink we finish, we can either like squish and nail to the front of it, or we can take the label off and nail that into the front of it. So I think that would be something that'd be pretty cool in the next couple episodes. So if for whatever reason you made it this far in the podcast, I hope you did.
We appreciate you.
You leave a comment down below and let me know if, I don't know, let me know if I should build this table or not. Or if
also leave a comment on beverages we should have next.
Yeah. Or if you know, maybe you own your own bev company, hit us up, and we are more than willing to have your beverage on the show.
Any beverage.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Just kidding, not any beverage.
I'm not drinking.
We draw the line eventually.
Yeah, because you can't consider like mayonnaise a beverage.
I'm not drinking.
Yeah, it's kind of liquidy, but I feel like
Will Levis, terrible beverage. I don't know if this was for real or not. Said he puts mayo in his coffee.
That's disgusting.
Absolutely repulsive.
That's so gross.
Terrible
It's
beverage.
like the same people that eat like cereal with like orange juice.
No one ever does that.
I know a guy that does that. My dad's friend.
No, he does not.
Yeah, he does. You know what else he does? Well, actually, apparently this is normal.
Is it Fruity Pebbles?
I don't even know. It'd probably be like Frosted Flakes.
Terrible.
Well, he also does, what did he say? He puts ketchup on something weird.
Eggs. Mac and cheese.
I put ketchup on eggs.
I do it both, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
hot sauce
gas.
on eggs too. Hot sauce
Yeah.
on eggs is so good. No, but one of the weird things my grandma does is she puts salt and pepper on her salads. Is that normal? Because I think that's the
I load
weirdest
my
thing.
salads with pepper.
Maybe pepper, but like salt on a salad? I feel like that just defeats the purpose.
Of a salad?
Well, yeah, but I would imagine like you're increasing your sodium intake for something you're trying to eat that's supposed to be healthy.
Are we keeping burps in on the episode, or are we clipping?
No, we can clip them. No, we can keep them in. Is what I mean.
Yeah, we'll keep them in.
Sounds like
I got a couple sips left. How much you have?
Damn, you surpassed me.
Well, you were. Yeah. All right. As we are wrapping this episode up, do us a flavor. Do us a flavor. That's pretty good. Hey, we're keeping that. That's going to be a thing. All right. As we wrap this episode up, do us a flavor. Drop a beverage that you'd like to see on the table, in the comments. Drop a beverage you would like to see on the table in the comments below. And any other topics that you care for us to spitball about. This one's all about being interesting as a man. Big highlights, big takeaways. If you could summarize one thing for the people.
Do more. I think my summary for this episode would be do more. To go out there, if someone presents you an opportunity to learn something new, just do it. Whether you're interested or not. But you now have that in your arsenal. You now can use that in conversation. You now can use that for a potential job one day. Who knows? Like, if I presented to Jake one day, like, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to detail my car, right? Maybe he has no experience doing that. He says, yeah, man, sure. So who knows? He could start up a detailing business 2 years later because I showed him how to detail one car, and maybe he had no interest, but as soon as he did it, all of a sudden interest then came about. So it just piqued it.
All right, I got an idea. We're riffing this. This is freeballed. 30 seconds on the clock. I'm going 30 straight seconds talking about do more, and that's how I'm going to end it.
All right, go.
And then we slip, 30 seconds.
30 seconds on the clock. Hold
Yeah.
on. Okay. Oh, that's my wallet.
That's right, bro.
Timer.
All right, let me know when. This is
30 seconds.
This is a PSA.
All right. Ready? 30 seconds. Go.
Do more in life. You get one shot at it. You are the main character of your own movie, and you're really going to sit on your ass and scroll through TikTok and Instagram all day. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. No one cares about what you saw someone else doing in life. You got to go get it. You got to go get it. Find something that fires you up. Find something that excites you. Find something that makes your stomach tingle a little bit, makes you a little nervous, and just attack it head on, knowing you're the main character of your movie.